The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to This Shit with Sam Butler. Welcome to another episode of the Shit Podcast. Thank you guys for joining me once again. I have a very special guest. You guys have seen him on other episodes as well as his podcast. I have with me Luis Garcia. Thank you for joining us. Hey, you're on Spectrum Cable News too, right?
I am at Spectrum Cable.
Am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. You can catch him on Spectrum Cable News. He's the correspondent out here, and it's great being with you on the show. So thank you for joining me. We just did a show in Spanish. We talked about one of my favorite things, which is Toyota vehicles. You know, as a Toyota owner, I know that I'm very biased. I don't even like the vehicle I'm driving now because I miss driving my Toyota. But we talked about Toyota. We're going to talk about another vehicle that is like super popular, super reliable, and it has an interesting story. I think that there's a lot of details that we will not be able to talk about because we only have a short podcast, and this is for you guys to enjoy on your free time as a little bonus podcast. But with that being said, let's talk about Hondas.
Oh, yeah.
You like Hondas?
I like them. I used to like the Civic, you know, when I used to like cars because of the Fast and Furious first movie. Yeah, and since the Hondas are like the less expensive ones, but then I start hating them when everyone start buying them and use them as race cars.
Yeah.
And they were pretty ugly, and I don't know
with the big fins in the back.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but right here, at least in Juarez, they call the people who has this car team, these Honda teams, the Honderos. Yeah, they're Honderos who try to be Toretto and
well, I didn't know that about the Honda guys here. I know that in the States they call them rice burners.
Okay.
Right? Because they're Japanese cars, and it's kind of a racist way of referring to these cars.
Damn.
What they do. I mean, they call them rice burners. Interesting fact, one of the most stolen vehicles is the Honda Civic.
Oh, yeah.
They get stolen a lot. And even the older Honda Civics still are very popular. And I'm talking about 1990s Honda Civics. People still want them.
Do you think because the theft is like the car that they want, or it's just what's easy to?
I think it's because of the race culture.
Okay, yeah.
I think that young people want to fix them up. I think they're still popular. I think they're reliable. The Civic is like comparable to the Corolla. You know, it's the same. It's the same size car, but it's a much cooler car than a Corolla.
Yeah.
Corolla's more of a mom car. The Civic's got a little bit of edge to it, a little bit of raciness. So people like the Civic. You know, my daughter drives a Civic. She drives a 2009 Civic.
Okay.
Know? And it's an okay car. It's all right. But they're very, very popular. And Honda, a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people do. But the actual Honda is the world's largest manufacturer of motors.
Okay.
They make motors for everything. They make lawnmowers. They make
true
leaf blowers. I have a power washer that has a Honda engine in it.
Okay.
So Honda's like the world's leading manufacturer of motors. And they build all kinds of motors. And what's interesting about Honda is that it didn't start out as a car company, just like Toyota didn't start out as a car company. It actually started out because the founder, Soichiro Honda, that's the guy's name, I hope I'm saying it right, he in fact worked for his father, and his father was a blacksmith, or herrero, Spanish, right? But the old kind that would beat the steel. Yes. And they had a bicycle repair shop.
Okay.
So he liked bicycles. So what Honda did is he started out repairing bicycles, And then he remembered, one of the quotes that I saw was that he remembered the first time he was 15 years old, a car drove into his neighborhood. He could remember the smell of the oil. And that was it. He was hooked. He wanted to build cars.
Ooh.
So what he did is he actually moved to Tokyo.
Uh-huh.
Started working in a mechanic shop, learning about cars. And then
What year was?
he moved
In the
let's
40s?
see, 19. He started his own business. Let's see, he was 15 years old when he saw the first deal, and he went straight to Tokyo to seek a job. And he spent 6 years working as a car mechanic. So it was 1922 because in 1928 he started his own company. When he was 22 years old.
Okay.
Right. So
So he's older than Toyota.
he's older than Toyota as far as a mechanic, but he didn't start producing cars till after.
Oh,
Toyota
okay.
Right. So what he did is he started figuring out how to put motors on bikes.
Okay.
Right. And then the Honda motorcycle was born.
Ooh.
Right. And the little Hondas, remember the little?
Yeah.
I mean, that was his passion, was bicycles with motors. You know.
Okay.
And he actually he worked with Toyota making piston ring seals for Toyota. That he actually got a contract with Toyota making the rings, but in 1944 his factory gets bombed. He's out of business.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he gets bombed during World War II.
Yeah.
You know, and so he's out of business. And you know, he takes a while to get back on his feet. And it wasn't Toyota went to the States in 1957.
Mm-hmm.
So when they first moved into the States, Honda went in 1959. So he was like 2 years behind.
Okay.
He's actually the second largest Japanese auto manufacturer. Right. Here's a story. There's a story about this guy when he started Soichiro Honda. This is the big thing about this guy. He didn't have a formal education.
Okay.
He never studied. Matter of fact, he hated school so much he would cut class. Now in Japan, what they would do is if you ditch school or if you cut class, they'd send a note home with you. And your family had a seal where they would seal the note.
Like a family seal?
Like a family seal
Okay.
that they'd seen it and you had to bring it back to class. So he took a tire and the rubber from a tire and he made a fake version of the seal so he could stamp it himself.
Okay.
Right? So he made his own seal out of a rubber tire. And then he had all his buddies wanting him to make seals for them. And then they caught him and he got in trouble. And then he eventually just left school because he did not like going to school, which is something that was pretty interesting about this character. So he's a very smart man. Obviously, he's doing all this stuff, but school just wasn't for him. That's kind of a big difference between him and the Toyota guys. And so he starts making all the different things for Toyota. His factory gets bombed. He starts to kind of struggle, but then he gets back on his feet in the 50s and he starts making engines. And one of the greatest engine manufacturers out there. They make a robot. Have you heard of the robot? Asimo?
No.
This robot they designed specifically to kind of help people with physical handicaps.
Okay.
Right? So if you look at videos of the robot, it's like a full-size robot. And he does different things. He's got mobility, but this robot was supposedly designed to help people who are handicapped, which is pretty cool. They've made their own jet aircraft. They've also made ATVs, jet skis, all these different things that they manufacture. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know, unless you're a racing enthusiast, they make the engines for the Indy 500. The Indianapolis 500.
For all the cars?
For all the cars.
Okay.
Their engines have won more races than any other engines combined.
Damn.
They provide, and here's the deal. Honda has dominated the Indy 500. They've won more Indy races than any other brand. Honda made the first, that was something else. I had another I had another deal here about Indy.
So Indy's like super popular, like NASCAR, right?
Yeah. It's super, super popular. They're the first ones to make the VTEC engine,
Okay.
right? Which is very efficient. They are the first ones that put four-wheel steering into their cars. 1997. The
I think I remember that commercial. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they actually did that four-wheel steering, and the first year. Let me see. I have it here. I got all mixed up on my timeline here. Let's see.
So what happened to those cars? I remember seeing the commercials.
Yeah, they're the first cars to have all-wheel drive. They went, the argument was front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
They started making all-wheel drives first. Oh, here's a four-wheel steering system. Honda's, of course, the leading manufacturer in terms of advancing technology, and its development of four-wheel steering was no exception. The third-generation Honda Prelude, released first in 1987, was the first car to feature steering option in mass production. And this year, it beat every new car in the slalom test, even Porsche and Ferrari. And the slalom test, I was like, I don't know what that is. So I looked it up. Pretty much, they put cones out every 18 meters, and they race around those cones to see who gets there the quickest. The Prelude with the four-wheel steering won.
Nice.
To me, it's kind of scary. I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, but I feel like if these wheels are this way and these wheels are this way, like you're out of balance. Like you could roll over easier. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they haven't kept doing them. And so the test is performed on dry asphalt, where the test vehicle engages a sequence, turning at the maximum allowed speed, following a line defined by 12 cones placed at a distance of 18 meters each. The performance is evaluated by measuring the driving time between the start and finish gates.
Okay.
So in 2006, Honda became the sole supplier of engines in the IndyCar series for the first time. So they were the sole supplier. Although this is cool, it's not the best. It's a testament to how good the engines were, because in 2006, that Indianapolis 500 was the first recorded in history to not have a single engine problem.
Not at all.
Not at all. The whole series. Yeah. And so we can see that Honda cars, they're very reliable. It's the most trusted brand among cars. Customers don't buy Hondas for any other reason that they trust the brand.
Okay.
Most of some research found that most customers aren't going like, well, I don't know about the efficient. They're just like, give me a Honda. I know it's good. I want the Honda, which is a testament to what they say. A little bit about of course, their luxury brand is the Acura. Fun fact about that: Mark Zuckerberg owns an Acura. That's what he drives. The Facebook guy.
Yeah.
Let me see. Honda Motor Company is the second biggest car manufacturer in Japan, 8th largest in the world.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the one about the motorcycles.
So Acura is the luxury one?
It's a luxury one.
Okay.
If you look at it, it's like the same H, but then it's like closed at the top. It makes an A.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's almost the exact same logo. It's just that they closed
Yeah.
the H into an A. Let me see. Indy cars. We talked about the Indy cars. I'm looking for the details that I found about their motorcycle, because they were the first ones. They were the first ones to import their scooters to the U.S. They made motorcycles. The motorcycles were so popular, the Beach Boys wrote a song about it, and it went like number
Which
one.
one? Yeah.
It was in my little Honda.
I don't know. I can remember that.
Yeah. So they have a. I'm trying to find the detail. It makes more than cars and bikes. Okay, we already talked about that. They become the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer in 1964. Their famous motorcycle, the Goldwing. Do you know what the Goldwing is?
Oh,
The Goldwing is that big bike with the big giant windshield, and it has the big saddlebags, and then it's got the back seats like up a little higher.
it's like the one from the police departments use like.
Yeah, but this one's like more luxury. Like it's a big bike that they travel.
More like a cruise one, right?
Yeah, it's a cruiser.
Okay.
Yeah, so they started their famous Goldwing in 1974, and it's been in production for over 40 years. So that was 2014. It's been, 1982, the Honda Accord became the first car from a foreign manufacturer to be made in the U.S., specifically at Honda's plant in Marysville, Ohio. So they're the first Japanese company to set up a plant in the U.S., and they made the Accord.
Oh.
Let's see. We talked about the Indy 500. We talked about the Prelude. So that pretty much... the CRV. Are you familiar with the CRV?
Yes.
The original design on the CRV was designed so that you have a vehicle to go picnicking in. That's what it was for picnics, right? Every Honda CRV made between 1997 and 2006 featured a foldable plastic picnic table under the cargo area, perfect for on-the-go meal times.
That's genius.
It's a genius idea. Yeah, and we're going to talk about we talked about who was first, Toyota or Honda, right?
Yeah.
And we said Toyota was first, Honda followed. Honda actually depended on Toyota, but this is the detail that I thought, okay, this is the shit right here, okay?
Okay.
Honda actually worked for Ford in 1928, right? And it was Honda's design that went into the Ford. So the very first Honda ever made was actually a Ford in 1928. And here's the story. Soshiro Honda, back in 1928, way before he had developed the company Honda, had actually helped develop a Ford, essentially making the first Honda a Ford. Honda fitted a Curtiss Wright V8 aircraft engine into a Ford chassis, and the vehicle went on to set the Japanese speed record of reaching 75 miles per hour.
Ooh.
So that was Soichiro Honda in 1928.
Nice.
So you never know. Sometimes you start out as a little podcast called Está Cagado, and who knows where it'll end up going. But we're just getting started. With that being said, that wraps us up on this episode of the Shit Podcast. Yeah, I never thought I would be a podcaster. I always thought I was going to be just a stand-up comic. So it's great being here doing this podcast. Thank you guys for supporting us and for following us. Leave your comments. If you have any other facts about this, let us know. Thanks for supporting the group, Los Cagadienses. And, of course, Luis, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you making time out of your schedule to be here.
Thanks for inviting me, and congratulations for your 100 episodes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
100 shit facts.
Shit facts. all. This is an easygoing podcast. All we want to do is talk about simple things that conversation starters at a party, right?
Yeah.
And we appreciate you guys listening to us on the can. Even if you're not on the can, but thank you for inviting us into your most intimate moments. With that being said, we're going to wrap it up. How can people find you on social media?
They can find me as Luisardo Garcia, and don't forget to listen to Que Fue de Ellos.
Que Fue de Ellos, Where Are They Now? It's a very cool show. I've been on it a few times. Thank you guys for having me. You can find me as Tu Amigo Sam on social media, and Está Cagado Podcast on Spotify and other podcast platforms. But with that, we're wrapping it up. You guys, we'll catch you next week. Thank you for joining us. That's it for this episode of the Shit Podcast.
Don't forget to take a shit.
It's hard to forget.